So, you've decided to go to Iceland. You've seen the pictures, the famous waterfalls, the black sand beaches, and of course the crowds. We all know those spots, they're plastered all over social media. But what if I told you the real Iceland, the one being forged in fire, and ice as we speak is hidden just beyond that tourist trail? Today, we're leaving the packed car parks behind to find a land where active volcanoes and ancient glaciers are locked in a constant battle, carving out some of the most extreme landscapes on Earth. We're going to places where the ground is literally younger than our grandparents, and to corners of the island so remote you'll feel like you've landed on another planet. This is Iceland like you've never seen it before. First thing you need to get about Iceland: this isn't just a country, it's a geological work in progress. Iceland exists because it's sitting on top of two immense forces of nature: the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, where two tectonic plates are ripping the island apart, and a superheated jet of magma rising from deep within the Earth. That combination makes Iceland a volcanic powerhouse, a place that's constantly remaking itself. And there is no better place to witness this raw creation than the Reykjanes Peninsula. For 800 years, this whole area was pretty quiet. Then, in 2021, it roared back to life. A series of eruptions started splitting the earth open, pouring out rivers of fresh lava. While things have calmed down for now, the ground here is still hot, the rock still sharp and new. Walking through these lava fields feels like stepping onto a newborn planet. You can smell the metal in the air and feel a strange warmth radiating from the ground. This isn't ancient history, this is geology happening in real time. It's a powerful reminder that the ground beneath our feet is alive. But Iceland doesn't just tear itself open, it also builds giants. There are around 130 volcanoes scattered across the island, including massive cone-shaped stratovolcanoes like Hekla and Katla. These are the guys that sleep for centuries, quietly building pressure. Katla, in particular, is one of the country's most dangerous, buried deep under the Mýrdalsjökull ice cap. Its power is immense, and its silence is a constant reminder of the forces bubbling just below the surface. To really grasp the sheer scale of this volcanic power, you have to go remote. Deep in the highlands is the Holuhraun lava field. This isn't just some patch of black rock, it's a vast, dark desert of basalt created by a massive eruption back in 2014 and 2015. It covers an area larger than Manhattan, a jagged, twisted world of rock that stretches to the horizon. Driving out here feels like a genuine expedition. The landscape is so stark, so alien, that the Icelandic highlands have been used to train astronauts for missions to the Moon and Mars. It's a silent, imposing place that shows you exactly what happens when the Earth decides to repaint its own canvas. If you're finding this journey into Iceland's raw elements as incredible as I am, do me a favour and hit that subscribe button. We've still got the ice part of our adventure to get to, the ancient force that carves and shapes all this fire, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Alright, we've seen the fire. Now, for the ice. You can't understand Iceland without understanding its glaciers. These immense rivers of ice cover around 10% of the country and are the second great artist at work here. They aren't just sitting there, they are constantly moving, grinding and sculpting the volcanic rock, helping to shape many of Iceland's valleys and some of its dramatic fjords. And there's no place that shows off this artistry better than Thorsmörk, the Valley of Thor. Tucked between three glaciers, Eyjafjallajökull, Mýrdalsjökull and Tindfjallajökull, this is a hiker's paradise that feels completely cut off from the rest of the world. Just getting here requires a specialised 4x4, one that can handle crossing powerful, unbridged glacial rivers. That journey alone keeps the crowds away. But once you're in, you find yourself in a shockingly lush green valley of birch trees and rivers, all while being watched over by a fortress of ice-capped volcanoes. It's a place of stunning contrast, where delicate wildflowers grow in the shadow of giants. The landscape was dramatically reshaped by the 2010 eruption of Eyjafjallajökull, a perfect example of how fire and ice are in a constant volatile dance. And sometimes that dance turns into a catastrophic collision. Some of Iceland's most powerful volcanoes are subglacial, meaning they're buried under hundreds of meters of ice. When one of these erupts, the result is a jökulhlaup, a sudden, massive glacial outburst flood. Just imagine a volcano erupting under a kilometre of ice. The heat instantly melts an unbelievable amount of water, which then bursts out from under the glacier in a torrent so powerful it can wipe out bridges, roads, and entire landscapes in just a few hours. These events are one of the most powerful natural phenomena on Earth, a terrifyingly perfect marriage of Iceland's two defining elements. But the glaciers have a serene side too. At the edge of the vast Vatnajökull National Park lies Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon. Now, this is one of Iceland's more famous spots, but you just can't talk about ice without mentioning it. Here, the Breiðamerkurjökull glacier carves off enormous icebergs, some over 1,000 years old. They float silently across the still blue water in a slow-motion parade of sculpted ice. The only sounds are the gentle lapping of water and the occasional deep groan of the glacier. It's a profoundly beautiful and humbling sight, watching these ancient pieces of ice drift out to sea on their final journey. So what happens when these two forces don't just fight, but actually work together? That's when Iceland creates its true masterpieces. These are the places that feel almost supernatural, landscapes born from the perfect blend of volcanic fire and glacial ice. Deep in the Icelandic highlands, typically accessible only by a rough 4x4 track in the summer, is Sigölduglufjör, often called the Valley of Tears. When you see it, you get why. It's a canyon of shockingly green moss and dark volcanic rock, where dozens and dozens of small, delicate waterfalls cascade down its walls. The water filters through porous lava rock from a nearby reservoir before emerging from the sides of the canyon, creating a scene that looks like it was pulled straight from a fantasy novel. It's a fragile, magical place that remains far from the main tourist routes, a hidden reward for anyone willing to make the journey. Sometimes, though, you don't have to drive for hours to find a hidden gem. Just a short walk from the famously crowded Skogafoss waterfall is a secret most people drive right past, Kvörnufoss. Tucked away in a small gorge, Kvörnufoss is a stunning waterfall that offers something its popular neighbour can't: solitude and the chance to actually walk behind its curtain of water. The path is less obvious, which is all it takes to keep the crowds away. Standing there in the cave behind the falls with the sound and spray all around you, you feel like you've stumbled upon a secret piece of Iceland. And then there's the place where the collaboration is at its most dramatic and architectural, the black sand beach of Reynisfjara. This is no tropical paradise. It's a stark, powerful coastline where the evidence of fire and ice is everywhere. The sand itself is black, made from volcanic basalt ground into fine grains over millennia. Towering over the beach are the Reynisdrangar sea stacks, jagged fingers of rock that local legend says are trolls turned to stone. But the real showstopper is the wall of hexagonal basalt columns. These were formed when a lava flow cooled slowly, causing it to crack into these perfect geometric shapes. It looks like the work of a master sculptor, but it's pure nature. Volcanic fire meeting the cold air and sea. For our final stop, we're going somewhere so remote, so untouched, it feels like taking a step back in time. A place with no roads, no shops, and no permanent year-round residents since the early 1950s. Welcome to the Hornstrandir Nature Reserve, the northernmost tip of the West Fjords. Getting here requires a boat trip across choppy seas from the town of Ísafjörður, which can take anywhere from 1 to several hours depending on the weather and where you're being dropped off. Once that boat leaves, you are completely on your own. This is Iceland's last true wilderness. The landscape is dominated by colossal sea cliffs, like the 534-metre-high Hornbjarg, which plummets straight into the Arctic Ocean. These cliffs are home to millions of seabirds, and their cries are often the only sound you'll hear. But the true ruler of Hornstrandir is the Arctic fox. Because they've been protected here for decades, they are notably less wary of humans than elsewhere in Iceland, and your chances of seeing one are incredibly high. Hiking here is a serious undertaking that requires complete self-sufficiency and expert navigation, but the reward is a sense of solitude and wildness that is almost impossible to find anywhere else on Earth. It is the ultimate expression of far from the crowds, a final, powerful reminder of the raw, untamed beauty that still exists in our world. Seeing these places, you realize the planet isn't just a static backdrop for our lives. It's a dynamic, powerful entity. And here in Iceland, you get to witness that power firsthand. It's a humbling reminder that we are just temporary guests on a world that is still furiously, beautifully creating itself. What's the most jaw-dropping landscape you've ever seen? Let me know in the comments below. And for more adventures that go beyond the ordinary, make sure to check out our other videos. Thanks for exploring with me.